Hey everyone, I'm Dan from JazzComposersPresent.com, an online space where composers, musicians, and listeners come together to celebrate the music we love. I'm joined today by Migiwa Miyajima, composer, producer, pianist, and leader of the 17-piece Miggy Augmented Orchestra. Miggy is here to discuss planning a full-length suite.
Thank you so much, Dan. So honored to be back here. So today I want to share something useful when you're planning your either like first concert or album, when you need to fill a defined stretch of time, like whether that's a 1 hour set or 74-minute CD or something, how you build that into your composition process. That's the topic we will talk about today. For today's example, I will be taking out some pieces from my big band album, Unbreakable Hope and Resilience, which is coming out about 10 days. I'm a survivor of the earthquake. It's 2011 earthquake in Japan. And this album, it's a suite built from the interviews with 20 people whose lives were changed because of the earthquake. So tracing how each of them walked through their lives since. So it has 9 compositions and 4 narrations. So let's dig in. The point 1 is programming the emotional arc of your listener from beginning to the end, as should be called a composition. So I always call music time management art. So comedy or film work are the same way. So they all require the ability to anticipate how an audience's emotions will shift across the piece or across that in the time frame, and to shape that journey. So if you already know the punchline, then joke isn't funny. So the same is true in music. So place the emotional peak in the wrong spot can be you lose the thing that makes music most powerful. So that moment when the audience, the performers, and the composers will all arrive somewhere together, that can only happen when you plan the things really well. So please show the planning sheet. Take a look at this chart. This is what I actually used when I was building this suite. So whenever I make an album or plan a concert program, I always make something like this. So it has song titles and the soloists, and it has emotions and the keys and the tempos and everything. So on soloists, some composers are fine with really like an uneven distribution. But when I am in the audience, I want to hear solos from every instrument. So I make sure every instrument gets one. So in this case, there was a risk that the Gina on bass trombone and a Jared on bass might not get one solo space. So I wrote out notated solo for Gina rather than leaving it open, and had Jared take a solo on in one of the intros. Now about the emotional arc, so which is today's main topic. I actually developed it from this painting. Please show the illustration. This was commissioned from a Japanese artist, Nao Sakamoto, to mark 10 years since the earthquake. So time moves left to right. It begins with everyday life, then earthquake hits, and the waves of emotions follow. But in the end, the painting opened into the really yellow, big color of hope. So that's what I wanted in 10 years after the earthquake. So it's drawn like this. So I kept this painting in my mind as I worked out the order of the pieces. You do not need to commission a painting to structure a suite, musical suite, but using the art form or something outside of music to think about the musical architecture can be really effective. So some people write the story out in words, and others sketch like graphs of emotional highs and lows over time. And for me, this time it was this paintings. Music 1 and 2 lay out broadly what the earthquake experience brought to us. And from there, the suite explores the territory through different emotional angles. That's how you can see it with the other numbers. So numbers are the order of these compositions in the suite. And then pieces like 8 and 11, 12, 13 sits outside of the main flow because they look the experience from a certain distance. So emotions that don't fit neatly in this timeline. So yeah, it's like this, but I shaped everything like this. And then, of course, there were adjustments along the way, but having that large scale arc established from the start to the end allowed me to make this story's flow really strong. Point 2, choosing your band members in a composition. Again, choosing your band member is composition. So yeah, so this is something I feel strongly about, but it's a topic that I almost never hear discussed enough in the compositional process or compositional classes. So who you choose for your band, I believe this is completely a part of the compositional process. So the place where I'm most proud of this in this particular suite is about the saxophone section. So I want to show you the difference between the solo parts I gave to Sam Dillon tenor saxophone and also Quincy Natchoff. So I hope you can see the difference. Both are extraordinary musicians who can do anything you ask, but I wanted to use Sam's burning fast solo energy for a specific purpose to express the intensity of the chaos we had after the earthquake. And also I wanted to use Quincy's talent gift that for storytelling to carry a different moment, that the really moving story of this woman, this lady who climbed her way out of depression. So that's why their parts look so different. So Sam's one, it's more like straight, just rhythmical materials and chord progressions. But Quincy's one has more freedom. So I gave him more description about how her emotions actually changed. So Quincy's is what's playing the free solo based on that the explanation. This first excerpt is from Where Is My Home, and the soloist is Sam Dillon. This second excerpt is from this piece called I Live, I Talk, and the soloist is Quincy Natchoff. Yeah, so I think it was really easy to hear the difference. So, and I feel like I was really lucky that before I formed my band, so before I asked either Sam or Quincy to join my band, I had this intense experience working with the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra, and I knew that it was very important to have the variety of the solo type in one band so that I could actually follow all the emotional change in the arcs and everything. And I am glad that I knew about it. I think that the choosing the right members, getting the right people in your band is completely included in the compositional process. One thing I want to mention before I finish today's workshop is great music making involves countless decisions, and then having a format like that one that I used makes each of those decisions clearer and more intentional. And I hope you use it. Your individuality comes through in your decisions, all the decisions you make. So you do need to force yourself to let it out. So one of those decisions become part of who you are and how your music sounds, like you. And I hope some tips that I shared today help you to, make you feel like your music sounds like you. All right. Thank you so much and happy writing.
Thanks for watching today's mini lesson. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos down below. To watch our full-length events and participate in live Q&As with our presenting artists, head to jazzcomposerspresent.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.